So, welcome. So we are here today as RSL Awards, which is more commonly known as Rockschool. We are an awarding body and a global contemporary music method, which is really, has at its base and its core the desire to challenge the fact that classical music education was really the only education that you could get formally. So the very beginning of Rockschool is to say, look, it's just as justified, it's just as valuable to go and learn the drums or to learn guitar as it is to learn the violin or the oboe or whatever other classical instrument you might be thinking about. Excuse me, just letting someone else in here. So, we are based in London, and on the southwest side of London. We've always been here, and we were born in 1991. I'd like to play you a little bit of really London-centric music here, just by way of a little bit of an introduction before we get into the history. Only a few seconds.
London calling to the faraway towns. The war's declared, a battle come down. London calling to the underworld. Come out of the cupboard, you boys and girls. The Ice Age is...
So from London to you guys, here we are with our global contemporary music method. As I said, launched in 1991, operating all over the world. And although technically it's been available in the US for some time, we're really here today to make a concerted effort to bring this method to you guys, to the music education sector in the US. And I'll go into some of the details of some of the things that we've done to make things and adapt things for the US specific space shortly. Historically, as I said, born in 1991, we are Ofqual regulated in the UK, which is a qualifications regulator. So the basis of this are a framework of qualifications that are recognized across the world. There are all kinds of mechanisms for different countries and education systems to recognize where a certain qualification is. So we have the benefit of that too. The head office team here in London is sort of 50 folks strong, but we have a huge panel of global assessors who number north of 200 these days. And they traditionally and pre-COVID traveled around the world examining north of 80,000 candidates a year across some 55 countries. There have been obviously some developments in that space due to the pandemic as well, and I'll come to that shortly. I'd like to play you just a little video. It's only a minute or so from our founder, Norton York, and he can hopefully position a little bit, where we were when we were trying to start this company off, and what his vision was for how we were going to work.
What Rockschool is about is bringing musicians who are great at pop music into the education world and enabling young players to benefit from their expertise and advice.
I've been in bands for years. I started writing songs when I was 7.
Developed a session career really over the past 20 years. Played with Axe Wound and currently playing with Bullet for My Valentine.
It's not like you're talking to a teacher per se, you're just talking to a friend that enjoys what you enjoy.
Learning Rockschool, you're going to learn the theory side of your music, you're going to learn the technical side of playing your instrument, you're going to learn 6 great songs per book.
I'm looking forward to doing my first Rockschool grade because I can move up to songs that are a little bit harder, and then I can play them when I get home to my mum and family.
It's musical and it's technical. It's not technical for the sake of it, which is the thing that I've found with other exam boards.
I think the fact that you've got something like Rockschool to learn and capture your imagination and enhance yourself as a player is amazing. There was nothing like that when I was growing up with drums. I'd have killed for something like Rockschool.
We are so proud that in the last 5 years we have brought Rockschool from working in 25 countries to around 45. What does this demonstrate? That actually pop music education is a really industry relevant way for young artists to forge careers.
So in fact, Norton, that video of Norton's was recorded a couple of years ago, and we've expanded even further since then, and we're now across all of those countries. You can see shaded blue. That's some 55 odd countries around the world. You can really see that it's a truly global contemporary music method. Hello. RSL Awards is much more than just what we would refer to in the UK as graded music exams, or how you guys in the US, I think, will consider it as leveled music exams. So just briefly, I want to point out that we also produce these leveled qualifications, and I'll go into what the leveled qualifications are shortly, but we produce similar kinds of leveled qualifications in dance areas with the Performance Arts Awards, dance and actually musical theatre in there as well. And most recently, on the right, you can see those creative qualifications. Those are kind of media production grades, which are around podcasting and vlogging and basically modern forms of expression. The green panel there, the vocational qualifications, these are a set of very flexible qualifications that are designed for implementation in a kind of high school, academic school context. But as I say, for the purposes of today, I really want to concentrate on leveled or graded music exams in Rockschool. So what do? So we cover all of these different instruments, and we produce materials on a 9-stepped ladder to success, if you like. So running really from, very, very beginner days, and we do have a few really sort of books aimed at very, very youngsters, taking literally their first pluck of a ukulele string or the first strike of a piano key, through then a progressive set of learning to mastery. And really the levels that you're getting to once you've got to grade 8 are the sorts of things that you need to get admission into college degrees. And certainly I'm aware of lots of different students around the world that have used Rockschool repertoire in their auditions for college places. So in the UK, we call these grades, but in the US, we call them levels. So there is a sort of entry level one called debut, and then it runs 1 to 8 in each one of these performance instrument areas. The system is backed up by a publication for each one of those grades, and then there is an assessment opportunity for each one of those grades as well. It's not a very formulaic system, as in it's quite optional about how much you use it. So you can take a grade or a level 1 acoustic guitar exam and then decide to take the level 3 one and then the level 5 one, and it's not a problem that you haven't taken level 2 or 4. Now, in the books are a variety of materials. There are sheet music of carefully arranged and academically benchmarked hit tunes that the students and the learners will love to play and will know already, particularly those down in the younger grades, which tend to be very chart kind of heavy and very well known songs. Once you get up to the top end of any syllabus, you become a bit more restricted because you must go to those practitioners and those performers that are really at that top level. So some of those names, like say Billy Cobham on the drums, might not be very recognizable to your 8-year-old learner, but certainly will be to anybody who's committed to learning the drums. So within each book, it does depend a little bit from syllabus to syllabus, are a range of tracks ranging from 6 to 12 tracks per book. And then these are supported by a series of technical exercises, sight reading exercises, general musicianship questions, and oral tests. Now, these are really technical skills that very much intertwine with the learning and the ability of what the students will be playing while they're going through the tracks. And of course, at the end of each one of these books, there is an assessment opportunity with a live examiner, whether that be in a face-to-face or a digital environment, where these skills, both in terms of technical exercises and playing the performance pieces, are assessed and independently assessed, which really is a great sort of validation, if you like, of the teaching that's gone on. It proves to the student that they're making progress, and it proves to the parents that their money that they're spending with you guys as music educators is well placed. It's not just about performance, though. We do have a similar kind of framework around music theory. So there are a couple of guidebooks that we publish, and then a workbook that supports each of the grades from debut to grade 8 as well. We don't insist that people do musical theory while they're learning performance, and I think that flexibility is important when it comes to the kind of the psychology of the student that you're working with, and some of them, will balk at the idea of thinking about theory. So it's not an essential aspect, but we feel it helps round off the musical learning. And as I mentioned, as an awarding body and an assessment organization, as well as having all of these materials, at the end of each grade point, you have an opportunity to enter for an assessment and to get that internationally recognized certification. Somewhat prompted by COVID, although it was definitely in the works beforehand. We've managed to digitize these assessments, so you can still have an assessment done by a visiting examiner. And our model there is to send examiners to schools where the students are, so they don't have to leave their comfort zone. And the examiner comes and does that face-to-face session. But we can also do that in a virtual environment, very much like this webinar, a kind of live Zoom world. And we've even got a version of the assessment that can be done offline at the student's own kind of time and place, and even recorded from their own home. And these things are then recorded, uploaded to us, and we mark them with the examiner and then send the feedback, not only in terms of a kind of mark sheet, but also a nice little video recording of the examiner giving some helpful feedback to the student for not only for what they've achieved, but what they need to focus on in their ongoing learning journey. Now, as I mentioned, this has gone a long way, and it's gone a long way in 29 years since we started. In the US, we were always present to some extent, but there were a couple of things that needed to be tweaked, and we've tweaked them now, and we're ready really to take this in a larger way into the US market. So these now are our US versions of the first 6 syllabuses that we're publishing. You'll notice, because of name and likeness laws that you guys have, the artists have disappeared. The well-known artists have disappeared off the covers. That's sad for me, because I quite like having them there, and it's very attractive to the learners when they're picking up the book. But the content in the book is broadly the same. We have Americanized somewhat the content, so that's some phraseology, quarter notes, crotchet, measures, bars, kick drums, bass drums, those kinds of changes. And also, importantly, there are background information pieces in there, which are, to give some context to the genre and to the moment in time when these songs were written. And now they all reference kind of US anchors such as Billboard chart success and so on, rather than something that's maybe a little bit more UK focused. So at this point, I'd like to hand over to Santi, to talk about how you can engage with this whole process today. So Santi, over to you.
Sure, thank you. Thank you, Alistair. So the best way you guys can start engaging with Rockschool today is through our Teach Today and Teacher Registry. This is the best way for you guys to start getting a little taste of what Rockschool is about. And it's built around our Teacher Registry, as I mentioned, which is a global network of teachers. And you can put yourself in this registry, in this network for free, and you can do that today. So I really encourage you to go look for that on our webpage as soon as this webinar is over. Once you're in this teacher registry, you can let your students find you. And as you can see right here in this map, we're little by little building our registry here in the United States. So this will place you in the map either as a teacher or as a student. I mean, either as a teacher or a music school. Let students find you. You can upload all sorts of information from your pictures, your certifications, instruments that you teach and play, of course, your pricing list, what else? Contact details, of course. So this is all for free. This is just for you guys to be in this teacher registry and just for you guys to be able to be discovered by your potential clients and students. But this is not all of it. What's really great about this program, we have something called Teach Today, which is all about engaging with Rockschool. And once you have created your profile, you can go to this other section on our website, again, called Teach Today. And through this, once you create this profile, you can get advice from industry leaders on how to better run your music teaching business. You can also get the first 3 publications of any instrument that you choose. In my case, when I did this, when I started teaching these programs, I'm mainly a guitar player. So I went there, I downloaded these 3 first books of guitar, and I started teaching it. Also, with they come, of course, with their supporting audio files, supporting tests. There's also schemes of work and lesson plans that will help you teach these programs. And again, this is all for free. This is for you to start teaching Rockschool today and start growing your business. And if I didn't say this enough, this is for free, and you can do that today. And it's all in our website. So yeah, this is great. Over to you, Alistair.
Thanks, Santi. I did play that London's Calling song at the beginning because I wanted to come back to it at this point. That is actually one of the arranged and re-recorded backing tracks that we produce with a syllabus. So each track has the supporting audio, which is a full performance version, and then a backing track with the kind of learning and assessed part removed so the student can play along with it. And these can be had with clicks and without clicks and so on. RSL also, beyond the materials though, is also a platform of technology, and we have kind of 2 versions of this. Out and in the market today is an interactive sheet music player called Replay, which really it has the functionality of being able to set tempos and loop sections, practice, all these kinds of things. But this is potentially the technology of 2019. The technology of 2020 is come on slide. A learning platform. So we've been working with some partners called Match My Sound, who are actually a US-based firm. And we are very excited to take not only all of the assessment opportunities that we have digital this year, but also all of the materials digitally. And this is a really strategic and fundamental step in what we're doing. This platform will be out at the around about the end of this month. It just appeared in the iStore today, so I was quite pleased about that. But it's not ready quite yet to log into. But Tim, I asked Tim this afternoon, who you can see on the screen there, who is our director of all things academic, to give us a little bit of an overview. So just in a minute and a half, he's going to give you a quick idea of what this platform can entail. Whoops, too fast.
Hi, my name's Tim Bennett-Hart and I'm the Director of Academic here at RSL Awards. So my team deals with all of the materials that you're looking at, the creation of all the standards. We really hope that you like it. So I wanted to talk to you about one other product as well, which is the new learning platform which we've developed with Match My Sound. And it's a fantastic product which is free for teachers who are on a teacher registry, and for students there's a small subscription fee, but it gives you access to all the materials, so you can see the different songs all described there. You can change the tempo, you can loop it round, you can look at the different backing track options. We can go into this in much more detail another time. But you can also record, or rather students can record their performances, and then the teachers that are associated with those students can see how they've been practicing, how they've been getting on, and the software, which is pretty complex and fairly amazing, gives a readout and an understanding to the teacher of how that student's done. I did Ain't No Sunshine earlier. I got 5 stars, which I'm really pleased about. But as you can see, the recording there is aligned to the music. It tells me when I've cut off too early. It tells me if it's really bad that I've put in an E flat there by accident. There, I sort of did that on purpose actually. So you can see what's going on there, and that works on the desktop, but it also works on a mobile app as well. So this is on an iPhone, and you can see here that I'm logging into the platform. As a student, you'd see the exercises you're supposed to do from your students. You can do Zoom lessons, you can see all the materials, and you can get those grades and those scores as well. So we think it's a really amazing piece of software and a great way for teachers to get hold of.
Whoops.
And we hope you really enjoy it, and I wish you all the best as we start our journey with Rockschool in the US.
My apologies. That's a technical glitch of me operating too many screens at too many times. So I hope you think that learning platform's an exciting aspect. I think it really is taking, you know, the simple concept of the digital sheet music player and really opening that up across our entire publishing portfolio, but adding those really cool aspects of a bit of the gamification almost with that kind of machine feedback, but certainly a platform for considerable interaction between teacher and student. I would like to point out quickly now that beyond this leveled system, remember running from the debut all the way up to level 8, we actually produce qualifications that can take you further than that. So we have professional diplomas with different kinds of streams, but these are modular programs that are at the learning level of university. So level 4 for me means the first year of an undergraduate degree, and level 6 means that final year of an undergraduate degree. They're not the same size qualifications as a whole degree program. They're much smaller, but they're at that level. And you can see we've got to focus there, you know, on the performance one. That really is effectively a level 4 performance diploma is really grade 9. And then there are teaching units as well. As I mentioned, it is a modular piece. It can be guided study, but certainly is designed to be able to be taken on in a self-study idea. Is great for developing your teachers within your music institutions, and can be quite customized. You have, you know, optional units. There are some core units that you have to do, but it's optional units as well. So you can really make that qualification what you want it to, what you want to be. College admission. I've mentioned this before. College applications, having musical learning and musical qualifications can really increase that you know, holistic sort of view of a college application. I don't have state high school credit in the US, but there is a system in the UK system, which is called UCAS, where we do have a very sort of formal level of points that are attached to the different outcomes of our qualifications. In the US, it's a much more fragmented system, and institutions do a little bit more freely what they want to do. But certainly having this kind of qualification shows all sorts of personal skills, all sorts of dedication to practice, to timelines, to evolving skills and building in a progressive way your skill set, which universities are really, and colleges are really looking out for. And particularly in this modern time with the somewhat decline of things like SATs in the importance of a college application. Certainly, I know that these will be very helpful to help learners into those colleges, and if that's the direction that they want to take. But many of our learners have gone on, from working with our rounded education system to all sorts of areas in professional musicianship, and some of those are teachers, some of those are engineers, but some of them are performers. And I thought it might be helpful just to quickly show you a few of them now, some of the more current ones and maybe the more well-renowned ones. I'm not going to spend too long looking at them and reading about them, but hopefully you will know all of these guys. They're close to household names, if not will become household names. And certainly the man at the top left there, our most notable or most famous alumnus is Ed Sheeran, who certainly is a household name unless you've been asleep for the last 10 years. But as I said, I don't want to pause too long on here. I would like to bring, though, to the table at this point a bit of the feedback that we have from some of the early adopters in the US about how it works and what impact it's had for their association and their relationship with this whole system. Mike Packer, who is the Dean of Online Programs and International Initiatives at MI in Hollywood, you can read it for yourself, but I think the point is that he is seeing that the materials in our method are perfectly suitable for audition material. And that's, there's rigor in there, there's substance in there, and they provide an excellent pathway for those that are looking for that further study. And then underneath there, Dave Garnish is a guy who runs a series of music production schools in the States, actually further afield than the States as well. And he's been working with us for some 4 years. And what I pick out from what he said is that it's students having fun and then progressing as well, which is making the parents happy. He refers to the college applications there, but I think potentially the most important thing he says is what this leads for him, and what it really means fundamentally is that he has improved student retention. And I think, that's in all of our interests, and certainly in your interests as music school owners and instructors. Rockschool goes a lot further and wider than this. There's a huge amount of advice and guidance on, the website, YouTube platforms, all the social media. We're pretty active there. We have a US section of our website too, with US-centric content, and as an example, links to the US socials, links to this webinar, for example, and please do get in there and keep an eye on it, because we'll be keeping that as vibrant and as up to date as we feasibly can. Right here and now, though, this is almost where I want to stop before talking about questions and drilling into any bits that you guys want to ask about. Because I do have a whole series of things that I want to invite you to, and I'll email these Eventbrites around to everybody here and everybody who showed interest before who hasn't made it today. Next up, and always at the same slot this time each week, next up we're going to go into a kind of RSL 101, which is the basics of what is graded music, how do you work with it, look at a bit more at some of these materials, and how the assessment side of things works. And then we'll proceed into kind of the instrument specific areas this side of Christmas and the holidays. And then into the new year, we'll look at slightly more advanced versions of those sessions, really mapping technical skills across the kind of exercises and the performance pieces. I will go further than this as well. We'll get into all the dance and the musical theatre and the podcasting, vlogging, and everything that there is. So there's really a whole mass for you to engage with, and I hope that this short webinar has inspired you to come on this journey with us. So at this point, oh dear, someone's been waiting in the. At this point, I'd like to stop the screen share and find out if anybody's got any questions for me at this stage. I'm happy to really field anything, and we'll go from there. Santi, have there been any questions in the chat?
Not yet. Any questions you guys have?
Please,
you answered most of
John's question.
Go,
Sean.
Okay. You answered actually most of Johnson's questions that he had for me to ask you in the presentation. The only one I didn't see answered was he wanted to know if he had like 5 students in the same day that he wanted to take the exam.
Yep.
Because it's kind of hard to get a time for all of them. Is that?
No, so what we normally try and do in a face-to-face environment is we arrange a tour for an examiner. So basically, the way that it works with Santi, who is the international representative for the US, is that he will keep in touch with the schools and say, okay, we're going to have an examination tour in whenever it is, month of April. And then he'll collate all of the entries from you guys and then put that into a schedule. So the idea is the examiner will come to your school for a day or several days of exams, right? So you can have pretty much as many as you like. And now for the video submission stuff, it's much more flexible, right? I don't need so many students to make it, kind of wash its face, as it were. And for recorded video exams, you can do that with just one individual student. They can upload whenever they like.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, and, all of his other questions you pretty much answered in the presentation.
Yeah, Sean, just to add to this, I think I sent you guys an email with the specifications about the video exams, yes? I did, right?
Yeah, I believe you did. I can check that later too. I'm pretty sure you did.
Yeah, if you have any questions about that, just shoot me an email.
So the question from Don about the song. So the tracks in the US versions of those books, Don, are the same tracks. What's different are like the background information, some of the phraseology that's been changed, bars to measures, so on. But the actual tracks are the same. Okay. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Go.
So right now, of course, in India, of course, we are using the ones which you already have, the original ones with the books, the curriculum. So as far as the US, the students which I have got in the States, so which syllabus should I follow? Because I have told them to purchase the book on Amazon.
It's really pretty flexible. I produce the US versions of the books because I'm conscious of this name and likeness stuff. And I do want to make it a little bit more accessible. It's very common parlance in the US, quarter notes, eighth notes, this kind of stuff. So I wanted to make the materials as kind of friendly to that market as possible. It isn't going to bother me from an assessment point of view whether a student has a US or an international version of the publication. Right.
So then, I guess like you said, the songs and the content is the same, right, across both the books?
The songs and the content are the same, and there aren't any in as far as the assessment things are concerned. You don't get asked any questions on like the background information to the tracks. The questions are technical exercises, scales and arpeggios, sight reading, improvisation, this kind of area. It's not about, what genre is this music from or anything like that. And obviously, musically, notation-wise, with the tab and everything else, it's exactly the same.
All right. And so as far as the exams are concerned, so as I'm in India and I've got students out there, so do you have, like over here, we have got like a center and like a lot.
So the idea with that is as an area of operation, if you like, increases for us, we get more and more and more independent candidates. So then what we do is we arrange with schools that are local to them to have those assessments done, normally in conjunction with some students that are being done from that particular center itself. And we can get to a point where we even hire venues to do these things if we can't have a school available. But remember, with the digital sides of the assessment opportunities that are there, most of the time there's a route to being able to take that exam when a student wants it.
Yeah, but then just going and meeting the examiner and playing in front of him, it's like an experience in
but you know, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, right? Some students, they love that experience of meeting that examiner. Some of them dread it and they find it a massive pressure situation. You know, there's such a variety of mental landscape of the learners. What I can tell you is that we have reams and reams of really good feedback from all the digital assessment. My vision is to have all the modes of assessment available to learners all over the world, and that would be exactly the same in the US. COVID is in the way of a few things at the moment. I can't get on an aeroplane from London to you guys at the moment. But that aside, all 3 forms of assessment are due to stay around indefinitely, right?
Okay, and then I think I can just get in touch with San Diego and coordinate just in case if my
So for your US students, definitely go for Santi, and Ritesh in India if you've got stuff going on.
Ritesh is in constant touch.
Good.
I think Adrian has a question. And before we go, may I just quickly suggest that whoever has questions, you can start typing them on the chat so you guys don't forget and we can start seeing them, so that we all go through them.
Okay, so let's start with Adrian, then we'll come to Christopher.
Alrighty, so this is Claudio, Adrian over here.
Hi.
So we have a few questions. We're a bigger school in South OC in California, and we already wrote a few questions. So one of it is, I see that basically there are going to be multiple subscriptions to be able to use the full spectrum of the program, right? Is the school, is the replay, and the other one, right?
No. The idea is that there are lots of opportunities for you to engage, right? You wouldn't be using all of the different methodologies under normal circumstances. I don't know what how you try and run your school, but if you like to have paper books in your school, you can have them. If you like to have grade by grade, digital sheet music player, you can have them. If you'd like to go via the learning platform where you have a digital access to all of the materials and all that functionality, you can go in that route as well. And the way that the learning platform will work, if this isn't clear, is that it's free to educators, right? But you've got access to everything. The learners pay a subscription, and as long as you've got active learner subscriptions attached to you as a teacher, then it remains free indefinitely for you. And that would be for every one of your teachers in your school, huh?
Definitely. Now, that was going to the next question. How do we deal with multiple teachers, multiple instruments and everything? Because obviously we'll need access to all of the whole program.
So within the learning platform, you will have access to absolutely everything. We're just finalizing with the guys at Match My Sound how some of the institutional management stuff will work. So like just assigning teachers and students together and managing that, and kind of what happens on the platform when a teacher leaves your employ, and and all these kinds of things, right? So those are the things we've still got to iron out kind of before we take it finally out to market. But you will be able to have an institutional administrative view on this and be able to control
and
it.
I think that's leading to the next question. Like, for example, it's a family with multiple kids taking multiple instruments. Do they need to set up can you set up a family membership for all the kids?
But there's already the functionality is already in the platform for that kind of group of candidates or group of learner administration, and it was set up exactly for this kind of scenario for the family model. At the moment, I haven't. I'll be honest with you. I haven't defined a family subscription in terms of costs. but there's certainly family administration. So a parent can go in, they can see what's going on within the platform, they can check that, you know, kids 1, 2, and 3, you know, are working well with their teachers. They need that oversight, right? Because many of our learners are youngsters, right? They're minors.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Now, quick questions. Are you moving from Replay to the learning platform, or is it a bit two different things?
No, the Replay will remain. Replay is a publication by publication tool, right? So you buy level 1 drums with Replay, and then you have that forever. It's yours. It's a tool you can use for you know, you as a teacher, you can use it with multiple students.
Either or, right?
Yeah. The other is a subscription where you get everything at once, but if you're not paying a subscription, you don't get anything, right? So it's just a different model of engagement.
Got it. Then the age where the kids can start for this program. I see the piano book. That was the only one that we were able to download for now, and it looks like it's starting from pretty early age.
Which piano book are you looking at?
I'm looking at the, I don't know, Piano Method, Popular.
Yeah, so the method books I hinted at early on. For ukulele and piano, which is where we see most of the very, very young learners kind of engaging in these instruments first, we produce these method books. And the method books really are from the first day that you sit that kid down in front of a piano or get them to pick up a ukulele. It's going from, you know, how do you hold the instrument? You know, really, what's the first note? How do you make a note? You know, really that, and it's a very engaging thing for very young learners. It's full of things like stickers and well dones and all of this kind of stuff. And it's kind of designed at as young as like 5 years old, you can be getting involved in that. But the honest answer to your question is music education, people access this at all sorts of different ages. You have youngsters, really young kids that get going really early in life and can make considerable progress. And then some people don't come to it till later in life. I can tell you that as a global average, we're around about 14 and a half, 15 years old is our candidate age. But that's the average, right? And there's people as old as me in there. And then there are some very young, right? So that's how it's sort of sits.
My question is going back to, I see like the first book is good for, let's say, 3 to 5 year olds to start the piano, right? But then if you have a beginner that's 7 or 8, these books are not apply anymore because they look too young. So how do you start the 7, 8?
Well, the debut book is actually, I don't think you've seen the debut book because the debut book is quite accessible. And if you're starting at a sort of 7, 8 year old level, you'll very quickly be able to start accessing that materials. I mean, remember that although this system, this kind of ladder, if you like, with all these stages on it, is a system, it is a method, and it is a framework of progressive mastery, it is not something that says you can only do it this way. You know, you have your techniques of how you get a student first interested in an instrument. You have your techniques of how you approach lesson 1, 2, and 3. You can go ahead and still do those sorts of things and transition to the materials when it's the right thing to do. In the Teach Today program that Santi was referring to, we have produced 10 or 12 week lesson plans for how to go about teaching the first 3 publications of each instrument. So there's our take on how you might start it. But you know, I'm not here to tell you how to teach music, right? I'm here to provide you with really cool, engaging materials, and then that independent kind of verification of the progression, which then hopefully validates the teaching that you're doing in the school and then leads to that increased student retention, right? Which is the core of what we're trying to do.
Perfect. As far as the levels, I see that like the highest is level 8, which kids should take like in high school, I feel like, or
a fairly regular kind of engagement with this would be starting around about that age 7 and finishing off somewhere between 15, 16 to 18, depending on how quick they learn, right? You know as well as I do, different learners move at very different speeds in musical learning.
Each level should take like more or less like a year to
no, I don't think so, is the honest answer. I don't have any stats in my head for you, but I know that many students go couple of grades in a year. And actually, just today, I was looking at somebody booking in for two exams at the same time. So they're booking a grade 2 and a grade 3 exam at the same time. So, I think you have to work with it. You have to see how the students are. Look, the psychology of the student and the relationship between the teacher and the individual learner is not something I want to interfere in, right? There's a whole spectrum of personality and type of kid out there. And some of them need stretching, some of them need reassuring. That's your job to work out what's the best for them. Do you put them in for an exam when you know they're going to smash it and get great marks and get a distinction because that's what's going to be good for their musical learning? Or are you turning around to the next kid in the next lesson and saying, right, come on, here's our challenge. In 6 months, we're going to get to this level. And then you stretch them to get to that level, And I don't want to get involved in that. I'm a framework and materials and assessment. You guys are the teachers. You're the key to all of this, not me.
Yeah, definitely. Another question is the apps. Are they good to go on all the platforms like iOS? Are out there?
Yeah. So they are app-based and browser-based if you're on like a tablet or a laptop. What I'm not working on is to make them browser-based on the phone, because there is the app. And the app's free, right? So it's not
app works on both
platforms, yeah.
And then the browser works on all the browsers as well, like not only Chrome or only Safari or only Firefox.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any limitations at the moment, but full guidance will come out when we finalize the launch and everything else. We'll have full guidance, but I'm not aware of any.
When do you expect the launch date? When do you expect?
We're expecting that we'll have it out at the end of this month.
Perfect. And then I think my last question is, how do we differentiate the rock schools versus School of Rock? Because I feel
that's an interesting one, man. That's an interesting one. Jack Black didn't do his film until we already existed, right? And Rockschool existed, and then Jack came along with his film. It is an interesting one. I think the network of School of Rock, particularly stateside, is quite significant, right? There's a lot of learners in there. But what they do is all around band performance with no accreditation and no outcome beyond kind of the hobby side of things. Now, I'm not taking anything away from School of Rock. I think it's an awesome organization, and Rob and his team over there are doing a really good job. But fundamentally, I'm about transferable skills, right? I'm about, here's a qualification, right? It's a framework. You use as much or as little of it as you like in your teaching practice. It will lead to more vibrant and exciting teaching going on in your schools. And then you can engage with the qualification framework where you see fit. At School of Rock, you won't get any qualifications out of it, but it's a great hobby area, and we should see them as friends in all of this, because this music education space, particularly the contemporary side, needs to stick together, right? It's a niche world, and we need to make it more exciting, more widespread, because there aren't enough kids in the world engaging in this.
Alrighty, cool, perfect. Thank you. I think that's all for us for now.
Cool. Well, look, guys, we'll move on to, I think, Christopher, you were next, but just hold on a sec. After this, the channels of communication are open. Santi has the USA at RSL Awards email address, plus a direct one as well. You put it in the chat, right? We're here to support, right? My role is to make partnerships with schools and educators. And then as you use these programs, you'll see what comes from them. So can I turn over to Christopher, because I can see his hands up, and then Santi, maybe you can go to the ones in the chat.
Yeah. All right. Well, these guys just actually you answered my question about, it was a platform related question about how that works. But I just want to say, as a teacher that's in the US now for the last 5 years, I've been using Rockschool since the late 90s, and I'm just super excited that this is here and this is launching, because so many aspects that you've already touched on, particularly retention, you know, having something to work towards all of the time that's outside of what we do as teachers. It's almost like a validation process for the students. And, you know, I can tell you from experience, any teachers that are thinking about using this over here, you know, as soon as you start getting students interested in this, that retention, it perpetuates, you know, progression throughout everything that you're doing. And the fact that you get to do it your way as well, you dip into this. Like I say, I use it as a validation. Really, it's like, so this is how we apply what it is that we've already done. And there's nothing like having copies of certificates on the wall for other students to be saying, what's this all about? You know, how do I get that? Where am I at? So yeah, super excited. Thank you so much for all the effort to get this here.
Well, thanks for the feedback. And it is only the start,
Cheers.
right? There's so much more to come.
Oh.
Good. Santi, can you do some controlling of questions and let's get around the room?
Yes. So Don is asking, do the new school? Oh yeah. So we have answered that question. They were asking about if it was the same content and same songs. Yeah. Same stuff. Rob is asking, I haven't heard the cost for families for music school. Is there a way that? And I think that's an incomplete question, but I think we already addressed that too, right? We haven't addressed about the cost of the membership, right?
There isn't a membership cost.
I mean, for the kids.
Sorry, the subscriptions on the learning platform.
Sorry, yeah.
So they're going to be, if you buy a year subscription up front, it'll work out at $5 a month. And if you pay for it monthly, it'll work out $6 a month.
Great. Diana is saying that she's used these programs with adults for a few years now, and she loves them. Awesome. Thank you very much. I was asked to share my email, and I just did. So you can see my email there is santiagoman@rslawards.com, and also the general inbox is usa@rslawards.com. Rob is also asking, is there a way to keep costs within the music studio so that the families do not have to pay separately from their tuition?
Yeah, that's, hold on. That's an important point and not lost on me. I can certainly see the situation where you might integrate the subscription cost into the lesson cost for the student to not make them have to deal with 2 payments in a month. And that's the functionality of the institutional management that we're just, you know, ironing out and making sure we get in place.
Great. So Deanna's saying, okay, same thing. Are we able to, okay, so Rob is asking are we able to view the books, materials right now? And if so, how do we do that?
Yeah, so the best way to go about that is to go onto the Teach Today platform. So if you hit rslawards.com, and you move your mouse down to Rockschool, which is the bit we've been focusing on today. The Teach Today link comes there. It's a very simple form. You fill out about 5 fields. You go in there, then you create that little teacher registry profile that says, you know, I'm a teacher and I've got these materials and I want to work with them. And then you'll get those first 3 digital publications of the instrument that you've chosen on your way in the form. And as I said, that, you know, the resources like the schemes of work, the lesson plans to help you, you know, approach teaching those. I mean, once again, these aren't you know, things that you have to follow. There's just a perspective, particularly useful for younger teachers who have not got the experience. You know, if you were to bring in a brand new teacher, a musician, college graduate who hasn't really done any teaching into your teaching practice, right? This is a good way to get them started, as an example. But you can get the first 3 publications just like that.
And I just included on my last message, I just included 2 links. One will take you to the Teach Today section, and the second one is going to take you to the teacher registry section. Okay, so Diana is also asking if there's anyone from School of Rock here.
I hope there's someone from School of Rock here.
Yeah.
I don't know if there is, but I hope there is, because you know, all the things that I said earlier, but also, you know, I hope they're seeing the differentiation, and you never know, they might take it on one day. I don't know, but the point is, I'm not here to, you know, I'm here to enhance music education sector in across the world, right, and give people opportunities. I'm not here to fight any particular fights or anything else.
And she also asked, why wouldn't a school become an RSL center in the US? Who is not a good fit?
Well, guys, I think the flexibility that's in here allows you to have as many touch points with it as you like. And you can apply this kind of stuff in all sorts of different contexts. And I don't just mean the materials, I also mean like the platforms, right? Just because it has a Zoom integration doesn't mean you have to do it over Zoom. Right? This is about how are you interacting with your student? What are you setting them for homework, for practice? Finding out if they're actually doing it. You know, how many times do you send the kid home at the end of a lesson, say, go practice this at home, and then they come back, you say, have you practiced it? And they go, yeah. Well, now you're going to know how many times they played that sheet music and tried to play along with it, how accurately they were playing to the score, you know, this kind of stuff. It's a bit revolutionary, really.
It is.
Look, the engine for this is an organization, a stateside organization called Match My Sound, and they really have produced a phenomenal engine, and we'll take you through all of the details of that towards the end of the month when we launch it. And I think it's a really perfect fit with the amount of materials we've got. You know, we operate across 10 instruments, 9 publications per instrument. It's a real, you know, match of the two sides of that works very well.
Those are all the questions here on the chat.
Please feel free to stick a hand up if there's anything else. Well, no. Well, I think with that, I'd just like to wrap this up by saying, you know, thanks very much for coming to listen to this today. My job in the organization is to look after the development of this whole program, this whole platform, you know, all the different qualification suites and across the globe. And I and my team based in the UK, but also my network of country representatives, and in particular Santi in this instance, are here to support you, right? So, you know, I want to hear from you guys. If you've got 10 teachers that need to hear about this, well, let me come and talk to them. At the moment over Zoom, but let me come and talk to them, explain it to them, right? I'm happy to support you guys as best I can. We really set out 29 years ago with a mission to change the space, change the reality in contemporary music education. We've been doing it for ages. We're in another massive strategic step forward now, which is going to be really impactful. And it's in all of our interests as music lovers and teachers and instructors to make this world of contemporary music, and not just contemporary music, but music education, more vibrant. So that's what I'm all about, and we're here to help you get there. Thanks very much for coming along. Look out for the links for the next sessions that are upcoming, and until soon, I hope.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Send me an email. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.